everyone, and welcome to Thursday. It's good to see you guys, and actually, I'm really looking forward to coming into your classroom soon. So is Miss Richards. We can't wait to meet you guys in person and start to get to know you a little bit better. But for today, we're on video. So today is Thursday, and you guys are going to be thinking about kind of tying together sections 1 through 5 in chapter 4. I've been talking about how we're progressing from smaller groups of people, smaller civilizations into empires. And we're looking at the major empires right now. So, starting in the next section on Monday, we're going to dive into things like Greece, Rome, Han, Persia, things like that. Today, then, we're going to kind of wrap up and tie together this idea of an empire. And so, when we think all the way back to when we first started looking in Era 1, we were just starting as humans to come together and be hunters and gatherers. We were in small groups, maybe 20, 25 people, and we had to be jacks of all trades, right? We had to be able to make our clothes, we had to be able to hunt, fish, we had to know how to heal ourselves, we had to keep track of each other, we had to know where the good hunting grounds were, we had to be able to travel through different areas as we went after different things, different foods. So we were pretty diverse. Then we started to learn that as the earth was warming, that wait a minute, we can grow these grasses, grains, and we can harvest them. They can grow in a cycle each year at a certain time, harvest at a certain time each year, and then we can keep them for a longer period of time. And so we started to notice as humans, now this is all over many, many years, but that we could stay in one place and not have to move around so much because we can keep these grains and keep them stored and then eat them over time. Then we start to live in larger groups, right? So now we're understanding we can keep food, we can live in larger groups. And so we're doing that. And then we start to live in towns and then larger civilizations. We have more complex governments, and we had the whole list of 7 characteristics of a civilization, which you will need to remember for your quiz tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Don't panic. Do not panic. So then we realize that wait a minute, with these bigger civilizations now they're called empires, and a civilization, like we said, might have just been our particular classroom. We had a civilization, we have a leader, we have a teacher, and that's a civilization. But then as humans grow and we become more and more greedy, I don't know, um, energized to take over more area, we then conquer more and more and more, and we get these places called an empire. And we'll take a look at the geohistogram on Monday. We'll notice how empires, their land would spread. And so as those blobs on the geohistogram get wider, that means those empires are taking over more physical space, more land mass. And so as I take over continue the whole entire 7th grade wing, then I get the 8th grade wing and the 6th grade wing. Now I've got an empire, and I'm watching over this whole area, and I can't communicate with everyone anymore like I used to in my classroom. They're too far away. It's too hard to get word to all these people. And now I've got this bigger thing called an empire. And so we've been studying all that in sections 1 through 5, and we have been noticing, let's just see. Oh, the other thing, how do we take over 6th grade and how do we take over 8th grade? Well, that's with the military, right? We want to conquer these places. And so we take our military as a leader to these different places to try and conquer these different other empires or civilizations. But the question I asked you yesterday was what happens if it's not successful? I go down to the 6th grade wing and I plan to conquer them. I want to turn them into my slaves. I want to get their food. I want to get their resources, their natural resources, their minerals, and their land mass. And I want to conquer. But I get there and they put up a pretty good fight, and I can't manage it. My troops, for whatever reason, cannot take over 6th grade. We get injured, we have deaths, and I have to retreat. And I have to come back to the 7th grade wing without winning. How might an emperor react to that? Well, when I sent my troops out, I had to give them food and clothing and weapons and protection and a way to travel. So it cost me a lot of money to do that. But I didn't reap any of the reward of taking over 6th grade. I didn't get the slavery, the people. I didn't get the food. I didn't get their trading connections. I don't have any reward for spending all that money. So now I might say, Okay, civilians that I already have, I'm going to ask you for more tax money. And so the emperor might go out and try and get more tax money because he's now really mad and wants to attack again. He wants to build that army back up and go back out and try and get sixth grade again, or maybe eighth grade, and try to conquer another spot. And so, as the people, the civilians, you may or may not like that idea of your taxes being raised with no benefit. Maybe you never wanted to invade another spot to begin with. You had no say, of course. How you were just told that that's what was going to happen. And so there could be some different feelings and some different situations. And talking about the military, I wonder if the military says, I don't want to go there anymore. I don't want to go and try and conquer the sixth grade again. They may have a revolt on the emperor. They may not be organized enough to be able to go back to sixth grade. It might kind of dissolve. So a military could be very beneficial to an emperor. It's a way to protect his own people. It is a way to conquer other lands. It is a way to keep order. However, if it is not well run, if it's not well organized, if it's not well funded, that military can become a negative for the emperor, and he cannot keep track of them anymore, and it may be that they overthrow him or it just dissolves and he has no more power and no more say. So that can become a negative for an emperor as well. So keeping that in mind, we're kind of talking about that on the goose chase on whatever day, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day you want. We were discussing how a military could be a possible negative to an emperor as well. And then we're talking about slaves. So we said how if we conquered sixth grade and maybe eighth grade, we'd turn some of those people into slaves, perhaps. Not every emperor did that, but some emperors certainly took anybody that they conquered and made them slaves. Nice to have people to do all your dirty work, right? And so slaves have been a part of human history for almost as far back as we can trace. So, unfortunately, people have been used to do those grunt jobs. They've been on the bottom of the social pyramid that we've discussed before, as a way to keep track, keep order in an empire, and to have someone to do those jobs. So today, how are we going to prepare for your quiz tomorrow? Well, you guys are going to do a Kahoot, but maybe not the same way we normally do a Kahoot. Today, the Kahoot will be in slow motion. Your teacher will play the Kahoot, but you'll have paper and pencil available, and you are going to take notes on the Kahoot. You're going to write down the things you don't know, and you're going to write down the answers. Maybe there's a question you know the answer like that and you got it right. There's no reason to maybe write that one down. But if there is one where you were guessing, you weren't quite sure, you took a wild stab at it, that one you'd write down. And the one where you just stared at it because you had no idea and you picked the blue one because it looked pretty, that's the one you have to write down too. Okay, and that is what you're going to use to study tonight and to take your quiz tomorrow. There are no notes on the quiz tomorrow, so you have to study today and tonight and be ready for the quiz on Friday. So the teachers, if you would please just do the Kahoot in kind of slow motion, asking students if they need to write down anything, and then clicking through after they're ready to go. That would be great. If you want to play the Kahoot twice, that would be fine too. It's one possible way of studying. Also, you guys, speaking of this piece of paper that you're taking notes on, you guys are going to need a folder again for social studies. We had one a long time ago. You might need to brush the dust off of it or dig it out of the bottom of that backpack. Or maybe you might have to run to Walmart or Meijer and grab one more. Please just have a way of organizing the papers as we go through this next section of all these empires. We'll need a place to keep some stuff that we're going to be working on. So please get a dedicated folder to social studies. Perhaps this weekend might be a nice time. I know many of you go to Walmart and kind of hang out and look around and walk around. So maybe just pick up a couple folders at that point. They should be pretty cheap. Okay, boys and girls, have a great time with the Kahoot today. Thanks again for your hard work on the goose chase and being quiet in the hallways and all of that. And we're going to wrap up sections 1 through 5 on Friday and then move in on Monday to looking at these different empires in detail. All right, have a great day. Talk to you soon.